Oh, you know what I forgot? Hello. Let me just fix this volume and also to go. Ta-da. Hi, everybody. Something's off with my thing. Am I speaking? Or maybe it's together. Hang on. Hi, Coyote here. I'll be right back. One moment, please. Well, howdy. Open up the window because I'm gonna brought my. I just remembered I had throat lozenges in the car, but you know what? I'm gonna take a little bit of fun incense, which is white sage and lavender. And tonight, I kind of wanted to talk about, these early October energies, what we're stepping into, and how to really hold our own. Basically, I started put. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't send this. I didn't send this out on Facebook. I was going to. Well, this because I really was excited about discovering what I'm really going to say, and because the cards jumped out at me when I was wanting to do this. So I wonder if I can go to Facebook and see if it'll show on my phone. Woohoo! Here I am. So I'm lighting some white sage and lavender incense. Normally I have it going before I come on to you. I wish everybody's doing just great. And I asked don't you like that? I like how that's making that kind of like, oh my gosh, it's like doing light code language. It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. They said, the angel said, or the guide said, I would be just fine. I was really going to set the room and go through my own like little ritual that I will do. Have discovered I need to do that. Pretty much keep how I first was instructed or felt to read for people one to one. And, when it feels absolutely right, set the room and do all my little the mantras and light codes, whatever comes through. But I said, would I be okay? And they're like, it was just share the cards, share some of the topic, and dive into it. This is not coffee. Oh, and look at the theme on this. It says, actually, I can. And then my lipstick is there from my lipstick. So, yeah. Anyway, so tonight, let's see if I can just pull it up myself. Maybe it will be down here. No, it's not on here. Okay. So going into these October energies, I've just been feeling like when you have the mainstream media, which is on so much in this house, that's why I try to leave and do my own thing as well. And when you have other people start to know stuff, but they really don't know because they didn't do research for 2.5 years or 25 years or whatever it is, 10 years, they weren't into it so much. They know something is up and they know something's really stupid. And some are looking, if they've probably been stupid, I think the people who feel uncomfortable about some things that they've done, regular, normal, everyday working people that are realizing, what have I done? People are starting to wake up a lot. And there's still some stupidity, and forgive me, this is not meant to build a wall, but you know how I am, I'm very vocal. Those of you who are still alcoholic, and some of you I may be helping. If you call me and have met people as I've driven that are out, they're drinkers, and it gets them into trouble. They lose their license for a while. Definitely, they're having both light and dark energies around them. Absolutely, and if they could even shift their mindset, think about the dollars they would save with all this drinking, and of course, it's part of their addiction. And some aren't. It's funky how some are so alcoholic, but they can hold a job. Some are so alcoholic they can be CEOs of company, but granted that when they're rich, they can hide away more on their benders. And then there's the average person that will lose their license and make some decisions that, well, I shouldn't drive, but I'm going to drive. Or they just don't go to work that day or for 2 days. But they're a good worker when they're a good worker. They're decent. They just don't know all of the connections to current events, and they're dealing with their own little shadows connected to all the shadows, and they're not ready to quit. So this is tea, not coffee. And I think this is only the third day without coffee. And I don't even really want to count. I just want to have the experience because I don't want to have to rely on that taste. I want to develop moving into other ways to take care of my and have fun and drink what I like and stuff like that. So I'm evolving and changing too. And that said, I do know that if you do come to me for a reading, part of your reading in the beginning for the first 3 or 7 minutes, whatever it takes, I'm not sure, it's not long, but I will be doing my mantras and setting I will set the room before, but I'm going to create a bubble of my mantra prayers or whatever I'm guided to, instructed to take 4 corners and ground the area. And I think that's appropriate. So I thought I was going to do that tonight, but the way that I just wanted to get a theme, 3 cards jumped out at me. So if you give me a second, I am going to despair for one moment, and I'm going to read this to you. Hang on. So I'm still here. Just stepped away. Okay, for your October, how to be fixed on your higher mind of, in the wake of the TV and prices telling you, oh, you can't, you're almost done. So drop into despair, into what I see is true, or he, she, they did it to me. No, take accountability for your part in the play and part on this planet. Laugh if you can. If you can't, cry, get through it, because fear is an energy and you can make it your friend. Laughable, you are huggable, you are the power, you are the observer. The observer affects the field. That means you affect the outcome. And if you ponder disaster, you will have a hiccup, a bump. The disaster, or in the trails of what seems like ease, because you slightly got over it or a lot through whatever, you will then fall back on false laurels of victory to just have your ass bitten. Okay. So hopefully you heard that. So that was on my I didn't get to write it down. That was on my Facebook page, and I wanted to send it forward, but I didn't have a chance to. I was so eager to talk to you. So basically, again, this is, and let me just go into the title. I know I'm not prepared, so I'm just being myself. It's funky. How to be fixed on your higher mind of your choice of now what's next. So how to be fixed and more focused on your higher mind and choice of what's next. Certainly, there are many tools you can use. Some of you already pray, and some of you do mantras, and some of you meditate. You're still, or you walk in nature. For all of those, walking in nature, I suggest you take walks by yourself daily. The walks by yourself daily, if you have a certain amount of time you walk in the morning by yourself, great. If you usually walk with friends, I'm going to say do your best for you to walk either barefoot somewhere or just stand on your grass or your the pavement with bare feet. I know it's cold, but do that even for 3 minutes and walk by yourself for 10 minutes before you meet with your friends. It should be separate. And the reason is that when we're with friends on our walk to motivate us to sort of, get our exercising, get our breathing in, chat, be social, you're not really focused on your higher mind self unless you have that group for you, unless you have that group support. You don't have that going on. You're talking about current events, current things in your life. Usually it's the limitation of your current events and current life. Usually. You might talk about these goals and dreams and how wonderful and what's next, but you also, with good friends who, they want to hear you, you bring in pros and cons and you bring in the doubt. It's part of how we are, part of how we've been raised. Like, I want this greatness, guys. I want this greatness. But, I maybe the money, maybe the title, I got to work. I don't know. We have these like little excuses, which in our humanity, we think we're failing forward all the time, or we're not looking as big-minded so our friends will support us more. You don't always mean it consciously, of course. So I'm just saying, don't do that to yourself. I mean, yeah, of course we're going to share our dreams and goals with friends and what's next. And but if you're anything that listening to me, if you're anything about focusing on, gosh, I'd like it to happen. This is so great, and got these dreams and goals, and I feel this feeling. Then, hey, it says my connection is unstable. I'm hoping you can still hear me. Then stay the higher end of that valid feeling of your dream, right? And then what was I think about? So the sociability of walking. So you meditate, being still for a minute or three, even in your car before you run into the office or your job, being still, going out on your lunch break to walk for your 10 minutes alone, or I'm using just 10 minutes so that you're not taking your half hour or hour and feeling like, you may not want to be outside that long, but being outside for that little bit with yourself and breathing the air and thinking, wow, I'd really love this to happen. Wouldn't it be nice? Being with, wow, so I've got some things on my mind like this. Well, I'm going to let it come to me. I'm not going to be so hard on myself. It's going to like reveal what to do next. You need to have that alone time, because your big goal and dream has to be you alone first feeling it, you alone surrendering to it, you alone being thankful for it, that you received it, That's your prayer, and that's part of your mantra. So those of you who pray and do mantras, it's that you've received it. You've prayed, you've mantraed, your preparation of being, you've received it. They heard you, whether you call it God, I call it universe or source energy, all that is ever was. I don't say the word God because, as you've heard me talk before in other places, we have many gods, and that's okay, aspects of the infinite mind. But some people have usurped and stolen the name God to use for evil acts and making power. And that's a whole nother talk video too, because I do bring up that sometimes during the day. So this is about how to just be in allowance of your higher mind, and what were the cards saying about being in our higher mind, being in that higher vibe, allowing, stepping into, surrendering into, sliding into, making it part of us. So three cards came up about this. And also what I'm going to be printing on Facebook is the observer affects the field. This is really important for us. Me too. Anything I say to you is stuff that I have to revisit or remind my own self of my own life. The observer affects the field. That is the observer, our sight, our thinking, and we see the field. We are picking a probability of our success, and that in that probability, we're creating that possibility of that outcome. So if I want $1 million or $40 million, which I do, if I want to have my YouTube channel blow up, something stupid like have 500,000 followers in 2 weeks show up, if I want, an abundance of YouTube followers, an abundance of card reading and energy patrons show up, then number one, I'm going to start feeling that and thank the universe and doing best I can do to keep just supporting humanity, supporting my little neighborhood, even if there are times I may not agree what I perceive you are doing. You may not perceive what I'm doing is great. And it's okay. I don't really. I'm 64 years old. I don't give a fuck. I'm 64 years old, guys. I don't give a big, fat, smelly, squishy shit. What's happening is we're stepping into our power, and it's time for us to dedicate and celebrate who we are and say, I'm calling and commanding in. I'm commanding in. I want perfect, optimum health. I want perfect optimum health and return me to my original blueprint of my amazing athletic self. You're going to demand and command, because angels will hear you and come. Because Yeshua ben Yosef, oh yeah, he wants to know, because he will partner with you in success. Lord Saint Germain, Lord Maitreya, Lord Buddha, all the goddess mothers. Who are your saints or your idyllic masterminds that you might appeal to. And if you do just use the name God, as in universe, as in the creator of all things, which you are a spark of, which you are God on earth and a goddess on earth. But if you're going to use just the name God in goodness, brightness, gladness, do not do your prayer and requesting or commanding a desperation because you don't have any power and you're like, going to be dogmatic, follow the rules really good. It doesn't work that way, guys. We are energy. We are energy sponges. We have so much power. I have been given information that comes through, and you innately have this too. You are a power. Remember those little clips sometimes you'd see in like specialty novelty shops, like 1940s little comic things here and there, and some specialty places that goes, did she use her power for good? Did she use her power for evil? How did she use her power? Or, and some are dumbass, like, well, I couldn't tell if I wanted the blue shirt or the red dress. I think I'll just have another bottle of wine. It'll come to me. It's really use your brightness and command in what you want. Now, don't be so specific as how it has to come in, because the universe hears you and it will be like a magnet unto yourself. So now going back to staying and being in a higher mind and how we call things in. So October is going to be, and I started to mention this a few days ago. This is hard, and especially in New England, this is harvest time of duality. The season shifts and days seem to become shorter. We have more darkness sooner. The light seems to go away. We're having all these celebrations to keep, which ideally what it seems like these celebrations that happen in perhaps late September, October, November, December, January, February, they were meant to keep the community together, to celebrate life and the goodness life is, and to bring the community together in gratitude. Now, some of these celebrations seem to have gone awry, and they can mean a dualistic celebration, which is not so cool. However, if you are wised up to a lot of the evil stuff on the planet, you can either choose to not celebrate exactly the same way, you can choose not to consent, and you can choose to still honor the season with heart and virtue and nobility by doing kind acts for you, your community, your family, your friends, strangers, and honor that you are a power to reckon with from the infinite mind. And you have an amazing gifts that are unfolding and will be revealed to you as you so want and desire to see them and to know them. Me too. So let's go into about, again, using our higher mind thought yourself. I did have my book with me with the numbers. Let me go back. I want to just read one thing. So I apologize when disappear. I did have my book with me with the numbers. Let me go back. I want to just read one thing. So I apologize when disappear. So how to be fixed on your higher mind and how to be accountable for your part in the play, making fear your friend, and let's see if I've covered anything else. And don't fall back on your laurels. Okay, so being fixed on your higher mind and accountability. This is kind of interesting when I go back to check this thing. So let me just jot down a couple of words. Higher mind, accountability. I said in there somewhere that you're huggable, because you are the power. And, not resting on laurels in gloating kind of thing. It's when I talk about you being the power and you having power, God power, it's not about you taking the place of the nebulous infinite mind, the mastermind, the alpha, the omega. It's that Think about when you have a candle, right? Think about when you have, let's see if I can make my point. I'm going to have some fun. We're gonna have a light fest. You'll like this. You'll like this. It'll be good. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of smelly smells. Okay. Here's a match, a light. Call this God and infinite mind. And you come out of infinite mind. I'm just gonna blow this out so it doesn't get burned. Okay. Now this is a dualistic thing. As you so hold your light, you enlighten others. I'm just going to blow it out now so I don't burn myself. But anyway, you get my point? We come from infinite mind. We're having an experience. We're spiritual entities in a physical body. So the light passing to us, we are light-filled beings. We have the power of that one. And it's honor, grace, nobility, loyalty, freedom, humility, but in the form of steadfast certainty and steadfast power and steadfast nobility, being virtuous. Now, as we're learning, and you've often heard my mouth, because I just won't mince words, we're all learning going forward the best we can. And some days we're going to be an A++. We are it. And then in some moments we might look like a B- in a sense. And I'm just using that as a funny analogy. Maybe we're like, we get an F for 15 minutes because we're just reacting. We're not in repose. We're not in humor. It's nicer to be in humor. You make fun of us in front, when you're pushed in your stuff, in your shadow that's coming up, we're pushed. So it's kind of good to make fun of, which is really making fun of ourselves, which is really getting in touch with ourselves. And then we can go, oh, well, I guess my funnel was little, blah, blah, blah. Or you can take a breath and stop and go, like a lot of times I'll just, zip it, lock it for a second. And then there's times like, no, I'm not going to lock it. 0. Because you know what's just there, boiling to say. And sometimes that person has something to learn as an opportunity. Sometimes you have something to learn, but you're both getting something out of it if you allow the bigger pictures happening. If you don't, you stay like a diva, you stay right. I don't want to stay right. I just want to offer you truth as I'm experiencing a bigger picture. I want to offer you things to ponder and think about so that you have your own epiphanies. You stumble into truth and into paths that lead you to brightness and truth rather than being locked into a dogmatic way of having to bang out your existence, being good, being the right, doing what the infinite mind says because you were told so by a book and a guy or a lady at the top of a pulpit. No. Okay, so how do we, oh gosh, this is what happens when I don't write it down. How do we be fixed to our higher mind? So I got 3 images. We're going to be calm, anchor your energy, which is one of the first cards that came. It is a number 24, which is 6, which is letting go of negative energy. There is a symbol that the Christed one is wearing. And I want to, I think it has something to do with Celtic or Druid religion. And it's a symbol of probably peace. I'd have to read it. And I'm probably going to go through and read it from the book. But here you have an image. And I'm going to fall back on that. I believe he's Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And he's representative of having been in Ireland and having been and sharing information with Druids, and also having learned what he learned in the East, and then having gone to the Ireland, like the British Isle, but having gone through all those lands, because that British Isle, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, it's not a big country. You can drive all around that country, in a couple of days. And what I get from here is experiencing your higher mind, being that virtuous self, being calm to anchor your energy right now in October. Because again, this is harvest time, a time of duality, a time when it would seem like you're losing the daylight and you can't do things because it's dark and you want to go to sleep earlier, or you want to just stay up anyway. We're actually, it's kind of a hibernation time in some areas too, a time that seed will start to, we've picked our vegetable gardens. It's time near the end of the beautiful flowers, and everything will go to sleep. But in the seeds of sleeping can emerge such greatness. So I'm just going to go through them and go through them again. Then disconnect and go underground for a while, which is number 8, which is the continuous flow of the universe. It's abundance. It's the male, female. It's infinite mind. A continuation forevermore. So disconnect, go underground for a while. These are, I believe, Hopi dancers. Either the ascended masters have come out of the pit, or those calling upon their ascended masters and fully wanting, desiring, and in their earnest behavior, expecting the answer to come through, which this is a really interesting time, because even as someone who's into it, there's so many things I know, and then I don't say it, and then they come true, or I might second guess myself. And I want to teach you not to second guess yourself. Just let it come out. Let it be organic. Surrender to the organic flow. Be you. Because even as I talk here, and you may or may not listen, but if you tune in, what happens is whatever I say, it either showing up today to make sense for you, or it will in a few days. It will be there. It will be there somehow percolating. It will make sense to you later. Oh my gosh. Shapeshift, transform, experience a new reality. Okay. This is, in a way, I've talked about being on a bridge and that we're really in a really great time. This is a time that now you can reinvent yourself, going into this new duality time, going into October and December. Now, in some places in the world, it's not going to be cold and you're not going to go to sleep. But given all the energies on the planet and what's going on right now with the energies of the planet and the rise of the galactic human, the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the divine feminine in the masculine, this is a really good time when it's okay to change. You're going to slip into changing gears, to being fixed on your higher vibe, your higher self, and to be open. It's a little bit like okay, so in your desire to attract something in and wanting that and stating that, I am so happy and grateful now that I have an amazing amount of YouTube followers. I am so happy and grateful. I share my talents with love. I'm learning new skills that I give with love and care and authenticity. And I am so financially richly blessed. I am so taken care of by the universe. It is amazing. By us making simple statements for the thing that we desire to bring to us and live into and be seen as a new person, it is. You decide a thing, it is. Me too. And it may look like it takes a day, 3 days, 4 weeks, maybe 90 days. But little by little and every day moving forward and putting those little implements in place, you may slip back a little bit, then you move forward, slip back a little bit, then you move forward, because you're redesigning yourself. But it takes the decision of saying, I am this and I have this. And I fully expect it to be in my reality as me. And the universe will hear me, and it is going to happen in right timing. I'm going to have my $1 million with right timing. I'm going to have my $40 million with right timing. I'm going to be able to forward an organization to educate organization to educate current homeless or aging people. I'm going to give this to, there'll be facilitators, teachers that want to build such a home or two, a structure that supports those who have no one after them and they need more care than the state that they live in, their current dollars coming actually allow. I mean, if you knew somebody that was buying cans of dog or cat food to as their meal, would you not want to help them? I mean, yes, it's their choice to eat something. And granted, forgive me, folks, but if you eat any kind of chicken or meat and it ain't free range and it's got antibiotics in it, and who knows, even if your McDonald's is chicken, it could be fucking human bodies, then wouldn't you want to help? We'll all do our part to uplift each other. So be calm, anchor your energy. Where did I put this? Being fixed on our higher mind, keeping it in light of October. And I, especially a few days ago, I wanted to actually, even maybe yesterday, I wanted to talk about, what the energies look like going to the next few days. But this translated into, just keeping this higher mind, this open in this higher mind as we go into October. So I'm going to still lean toward that. So I don't know where that will be. Let's see. I had a paper with a bunch of these things, and now I don't really know where I put it. So let's see if I kept it in my bed. I probably didn't translate it to this book, which I'm going to need to do. So bear with me a moment. I just wanted to see an insight from the author on that particular card. 24. I'm just going to go to the index. Right. Goodness. No, that's the right one. Okay. Silk cups may be appropriate at this time and gather your energy yourself by protecting your spirit. Allow fire to flow into you. So, and being fixed on our higher mind, being calm, anchor your energy. So as I just spoke earlier, in terms of we're harvesting, our foods at this time, and we're going into a time of a little bit of quiet, where we go into the reflection of being at ease in the community, especially now, right? A lot of restrictions sort of left in the last 2 years. Regardless, this is the time of being grateful. But regardless, this is a time of being grateful. The harvest time, going into different celebratory, in lack of a better word, there's religious celebrations, there's particular celebrations of all different kinds during the next few months, and different cultural celebrations. Usually they may seem like they're religious, but then there's, there's Halloween, and there's all these other things coming up, Thanksgiving, of course there's Christmas, but then we'll have New Year's Eve party to welcome in the new year. But during this October time especially, segueing into a more quiet time of repose, using time of when you are of repose using time of when you are a little bit slowed down to go deep and to reflect. And it's not bad, like I said earlier, if you are still someone who walks or exercises or is with a group and does these things, it's going to be really important and very helpful to you. If you take 10 minutes and you're just in your own desires and you're allowing some things to percolate and feel good to you without sharing, because on the walks with friends, it's usually not always, it can be, but it's not a brainstorming time. It's just sort of a formulating kind of complaint. But then again, remember, depending upon who you're partnered with walking, they can only give from the highest place that they've been, if they're thinking that way. If they throw out pros and cons, that can smash your dreams. And you may be stilted or stalled. So I would give yourself honor by walking with people who are very positive minded, uplifted. And I would give yourself honor to be in nature and have your short walks first by yourself and then shared with others for their fun and their company and chatting. And usually that's just one other person, unless like you have a really good support system. I don't encourage every day just meeting with the same people and walking in the woods, because your guys are missing the beauty and the nuances and the silence that happens within yourself and the nature that you're in. And so I really encourage you to think how that might work for you. Okay, so now we're going to go to disconnect, go underground for a while. Distancing yourself from people or certain situations may be necessary and beneficial. You may emerge from your seclusion at just the right moment to do the dance of joy. So perhaps you want to start a new endeavor and there's all these things you want to do. Like I want to get back to more of my art that I was doing and having my assembly line for that and doing my coyote heart and just so much is happening and percolating with that. And it's really like I've got to spend more time to do that. So it's going to make me look at my driving time for Lyft differently. It's going to make me look at getting up earlier. It's going to make me look at, yes, I'll watch movies, but I also need separate time to just be creative, just be in that creative place and produce and take a look at, how I get some supplies back in to do wind chimes and get patches of my images on jackets. And you too may have something that you are wanting to get back to making t-shirts, wanting to get back to raising puppies, wanting to get back to your writing, or dive in deeper and do more of what you're doing, trying something new. And so for that, you may have to disconnect. So it's connected to this example of when you walk with people in the morning, like in my neighborhood, there's certain people that walk together all the time. But what if, even once a week, instead of like 5 days or 4 days a week, you walk with that group, what if one day you walked in a different direction, you walked by yourself? Or if you were able to, what if you, before you hooked up with them, walked for 10 or 15 minutes and then met them at whatever and continued, so that you have that private percolating time, and not necessarily to actually share with them when you do hook up with them, but just because that would set the pace for a different kind of mindset for yourself. It'd be really freeing. So and seclusion is okay. It's okay to spend time by yourself. A lot can get done. A lot can get figured out. A lot can get noticed and then be put gently aside so that there's something you need to deal with. And in October, and in us moving forward, to be partnered and, God, I'm forgetting the word, fixed on your higher mind. Fixed on your higher mind. This gives you that an opportunity. So shapeshift, transform, and expect a new reality, which is number 4, which is a leap of faith. A leap of faith for the things you so say you want to be, do, and have. So let's see. Oh, I just passed her. Attune, with another species to gain an expanded perspective of yourself and your senses. This has been done by shamans and shamankas for thousands of years. Bring this knowledge, bring back this knowledge to incorporate into your everyday life. So see, if you do walk separately without the people you normally walk with, you see different things in nature. You notice the different hues of green. Like in a tree, maybe you're walking in a woods and things look lime, light lime green, forest green, moss green. There are nuances in leaves. Some are still full, some are eaten, some have probably bird poop on them. You'll see spider webs. You might see a garden variety snake. You'll hear birds. You'll actually see squirrels, perhaps, in the deep woods, and you might notice they're watching you. They've run away, and then they're peeking, and they're watching you, which happened to me today. So this is all good. This is all pointed to be fixed on your higher self as we're going into this this season here, especially in New England. But as you're going into October, the energies are about shifting gears into quiet and going in deep and for change. Now, I had been saying that, and I would really like this. I would like a big bang epiphany for everybody. The whole world gets this either military control thing or some goes up on the sky. And I really felt that I really wanted to have happen. The truth around that is, it probably doesn't sound very loving because a lot of people would be very frightened if military showed up at all their grocery stores and all their malls and their outdoor malls and outside convenience stores and at gas stations and theaters and airports, especially in the US, because mostly we have that is in Europe in some places or other countries. Showed up outside your dentist office. There's always in every single place I just said, always for every single business, no matter how many businesses are stacked in a row, there's always at least 2 militiamen with their big guns. People freak out. I'd be like, yay! Yeah, see? But since we are in the age of Aquarius, an age of love, 1,000 years of peace, the age of light, wouldn't it perhaps be more agreeable, feasible, and 5D-ish if we made still love the answer, which it is. We still made love our power, the best, highest, most indestructible frequency, usable. Well, it is. That our galactic cousins and other species know that to harness the frequency of love and care is not about frightening the shit out of people, telling them they're wrong, they were stupid, because they just didn't know or were forced or coerced or brainwashed, or that was their soul path to do something that seemed by many of us silly or harming themselves and nature. Remember, infinite mind created us all. The nebulous universe of wanting so much to experience its own self. It created beings of all kinds, and then all those beings created more beings. And sometimes some of those beings created evil beings, or figured out the resonance to create more evil, just like you can figure out resonance to create more love and goodness. Resonance, that is you aligning with a particular energy, the frequency that creates worlds, to do, be, and have more because of your allowance of us getting out of our own way and feeling through situations to goodness and solutions. And I can tell you honestly, when the TV's on here, sometimes I have such a hard time because it seems so loud to me, and also it sounds just a lot of despair and control and one-sidedness of gotta watch out, people, because this is gonna happen to you. See how terrible blah 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 was. And in my own space, I would not have any TV, and if I did, it never would be on. except on rare occasions to, maybe I'd have Netflix or something and watch something on a bigger screen, or just have it in case I had a pet sitter, things like that. Take another sip of my tea. So basically, be calm, anchor your energy, disconnect, go underground. That means hang out with your people, but really give yourself time to know you and recreate the you and the things that you wish, and then shapeshift. It is time. Let yourself transform into this newness reality. I want to just take these cards and add them up for a second. So if I have a 6 and an 8 and a 4, we have 12. This is good. So ultimately, all of those cards come to 18 and 1 and 8, which is in the Hebrew. In the Hebrew numerology is life, and 8 and 1 is 9. 9 is one of the numbers that Tesla talked about, understanding energy, frequency, and vibration, and that we would understand how to attract everything we wanted. So 369 is something. 369 is something to look up. But 9 is share your talents and special abilities with the world. Don't hold yourself back. And to also notice if you've been hanging around those who are taking advantage of your time and special abilities, that is, perhaps they're not paying you enough, or they've misled you, or you've allowed that you withheld yourself from really moving forward with your special gifts and abilities, which is part of, you'll discover, is part of your purpose, part of your sharing, part of your greatness, which will lead to more greatness, or even a whole different direction, because you start to share your passions. You start to share your knowledge with a passion, with a care. And this is what's changing the world, that people will have, as you said, avenues opening up, so that the car comes your way, the money comes your way, the other opportunities with really kind people come your way, that you wouldn't have expected that were coming your way because of the way you might bang it out dogmatically through a group or a particular belief system, which we will find is not really how things are, and some of you I know get upset, or could be upset, that when you hear religion and you're so happy to be Christian or a Muslim, or if you're into the Lutheran church or the Unitarian church, you find that if it says like, okay, well, I've eaten chocolate like every day for a year or 30 years, and it's just time to, what are some ways I can nurture being calm? I can nurture anchoring my energy to the earth, settling into this time, not settling for less, just settling in and looking at what I want to shift and change into, disconnect from stuff that hasn't felt so good, that it may lead you in a way to be kinder to yourself, allowing your dreams to not sleep, but percolate, and in such a way that as you're allowing and reviewing all this, you're going to transform yourself. You're going to experience a new reality for this preparation of having been gracious to yourself. And in being gracious to yourself, you have more power to give away, because you will know yourself and will appropriately share all your special gifts and abilities. So I think I want to end there. I'm just wondering if I have to pick another card. Usually I do. Let's just see if there's a card that will come out. I really, I have my own homework to do, getting used to my decks, my new decks, and spending time. So I have my stuff to report and step into. But I love this author, Cheryl Brooke Rose. Her cards are so loving, amazing, powerful, potent. There's so many messages within one card. In a private read, we'll be here for a while. So, in our highest destiny, can you give us a card I want to appropriately cap tonight's message. Something that feels really super great to share. Okay, so these cards are so nearly stick. So what would you like them if you were giving me one card out of here that would help us tonight cap this about being fixed on our goodness, the next steps of going into October with greatness. Oh, you're giving me two, right? Or one? Maybe this one or this one. I don't want to do both. One or the other. What do you think? Oh, I can't. Okay. It's two. I'd like to pick one, but it's two. All right, let's see what we got. So interesting, right? This number 5. Leave your destiny. Leave your destiny. This card is supposed to be a similar complement to the Sufi religion. One arm to heaven, and one hand to heaven, one arm to heaven, and one hand, one arm to anchor into the earth, right? Which complements those other 3 cards about being anchored into the earth, about being still going within for a while, and about shape-shifting yourself. All this blue for throat expression, throat, and the third eye opening. I mean, this is just a really quick, this is not full read on this card, but certainly weave your own destiny, which is what I was talking basically about, to percolate, inventing yourself a new, shape-shifting into a new reality. And then, remember I talked about the big but not conquer the middle, and an unconditional love. Be fully empowered to be that light which radiates and illuminates darkness, dismay, evil shadows, even of yourself, and is so centered that you're not on a side of making people so right that others are wrong, or that you're fostering and supporting those who wish to, in their righteous and or right, or perhaps even knowing way, still complain and slightly point the finger. You're standing in the middle of great, deep, knowing certainty and care in your power. And that power, it is knowing, it is unjust, but just by staying centered and knowing thyself. Love with an open heart. So this is also, it's like agreeing in terms of and respecting each other and being intimate with each other, or even in an intimacy of physical planning, and then just a physical expression of loving care. You may call that sex or romance, but this is all about still love with an open heart. And how do we love and yet say our voice? And sometimes that can be suddenly a tricky line to walk. But if you say what you say with love, care, and great gratitude and respect, no matter what is said, that gratitude and respect is really felt. Sometimes the words are not what you say, but how you say it. You know me with my little 4-letter swear words. When I have had no patience, I just tell people F off. But in a lot of my 4-letter words is a lot of care, concern, respect, and empowerment to uplift and not take any bullshit. Because it's time to not take the bullshit. It's time to take what seems is and seeing through it, and to create what you truly want to experience in the world. So, and